Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, it's Saturday. My name's Blades, and this is Learn to Program. Right, let's do it then. We are going to use as teaching tools Java, the lightweight Java game library 3.2, and Slick Utils. Together, they can be combined to make a game engine. I hope. Well, we'll find out. We're pretty relaxed around here. Now, yeah. Should I do some theory? Yeah, let's start with some theory. Okay. What makes a good programmer? So, let's start with that, shall we? Helps if I'm on a pen. Good. Ooh, went OTT on that one, I think. Here we go. Good programming. Hopefully, by the end of any episode, I'm hoping that you're going to understand a bit more about programming. Not necessarily the languages that I use or whether Java's better than C++ or C# or whatever it is. That's immaterial. What you choose to program in or the language is completely immaterial. Let me give you an example. Count equals count plus 1, which is equivalent to count plus plus. Now, what language am I talking about? And that's the first point. Because that is true in a lot of languages. Count equals count plus 1 or count plus plus are the equivalent statements. But they do things so differently. The two statements are only equivalent, they're not equal. They both produce eventually, in most cases, the same code. But getting to that code can be slightly different. You see, there's only one programming language, and that's machine code. That's the only thing the computer understands. All these programming languages out there are just convenient ways for us to put what we want to happen, type it into the computer. That's all a programming language is. It's how we want to type it into the computer. I use C++ mainly because you can develop your own way of doing things and you have a lot of control over it. With Java, it's going to be slightly different. It's going to be more about save changes, no. It's going to be a more controlled environment because it's more, in my mind anyway, teaching language. It teaches you, well, I would say good programming. As you can see down here, there's all these little yellow lines. And if you hover over them, or you look at them here, say that yellow line here, whoops, leave that up at the top, that yellow line here, there we go. Access can be package private. There you go. So it's all, I mean, this is why I wanted to use IntelliJ IDEA, is because it does this for you. It's a very, very helpful system. So it's going to give you a good few things here. Can I actually see chat? No, I can't really, can I? Okay, come here, you. It's Twitch, isn't it, that one? Okay, now where did I leave chat? There it is, it's over there. Here we go. I can see Twitch chat now. Alrighty. Close you. Ooh, chat. Alright, so we can see chat now, in case you want to ask questions. And I can now say, hiya. There we are. Oh, doesn't understand the word hires. Alright, okay. Fair enough. And that's why I want to use this as a teaching aid. It also gives you, as you can see here, when you do like create window, width, height, title, it gives you more hints about what's going on. This mess here is what we are going to look at. This is probably how a new programmer would type it all in. And this is what I want to start with. What you see is what you get. I mean, if I'm reading through this, I'm like, oh gosh, got to go through it line by line. It doesn't tell me what it's doing. I know that creates a window. Right, we're good there. That shuts down. We've got an update. We've got a render. Understand what those are. Is open. What is open? Well, it's the window is open. So, is window open? Might have been a better choice of wording there. Is key pressed? Yeah, I understand that. Is key released? Yeah, we're okay there. Is key down? Yeah, we're good with that. Is mouse button down? Oh, that means we've got code. Yeah, we've got code missing. And this is the kind of thing that I see a lot when I'm doing my research. I do look through a lot of code because I am a research and developer. I also tend to write a lot of code, which 90% of it goes in the bin, the waste bin. 10% that I keep is then developed a little bit further, and then 90% of that goes in the waste bin. And the last 1% of what I started with probably gets developed into something useful. And that's the way of research and development. It's just getting rid of the rubbish ideas and going with the good ideas. That's what my job is. And I just choose what I like and see if it's a good idea. There we go. So yeah, it does read right. Here you see window is open. So there's no point in putting is window open there. Window is window open. No, it wouldn't read right. That reads right. That's okay. So I'm going to leave that alone. What I am going to say though is that first example that I've got, that I gave, the plus thing, it's in Java, it's in C++, it's in C#, it's even in C. It's in a lot of languages. So What does that mean? Well, it's the difference between a good programmer and a bad programmer. A bad programmer will look at that and just shrug and just use whichever they feel like at whatever day it is. A good programmer will know what happens when a compiler sees that. What choices the compiler has to make. And this is a journey on which we're going to go. We're not just going to be looking at code, which obviously we're going to be doing some code. As you can see, as of last week, this is, oh God, what a mess. As of last week, this is what we've got. It's a nice little piece of code. It just opens a OpenGL window, like that. And it tells me that I've got, I'm welcome to the IDEA projects, 4.5 core profile, using Mesa 19.1.5. So that's OpenGL 4.5. And the escape key, does that work? Yep, the escape key works. That's good, because we've really put it in. As you can see, GLFW key escape. And we put is running to false. Press the escape key, it closes down. So our program, really, that's the start of a rather big game engine. But this isn't the game engine, this just runs the game engine. The game engine is on the left hand side. The program is on the right hand side. This is the game engine here. Never mistake the two. The game engine is all the functions, and this is the program that shows us how it's going, I suppose. But you're using this mainly for testing. Coffee. I think that's my intro done. Yeah. So welcome to Amberskies, everybody. Good to see you. And hiya. Thank you for tuning in there, you, my special viewer. Right, what we're going to look at next. I've done my theory. Today's theory. What's the difference between a good programmer and a bad programmer? Yeah. We're going to do a bit of a practical, and then I'm going to I'm going to do some code first, and then we'll do a practical. What code shall we do? Window. We haven't finished the mousey-mousies. If I remember rightly, last week we got as far as doing mousey-mousies. So what we got left to do here then? So I've done is key pressed. Alrighty. Okay, we'll backspace that out of the way. Okay, public static. Oh God, I remember now. Yeah, we're doing everything as public static, weren't we? Yes, doing it on purpose now. Public static. What are we going to do? Is mouse pressed? It's a button, really, isn't it? So it should be is mouse button pressed. Don't care. Is mouse pressed? You can type in what you want for that. I mean, that's the whole point of this. You're creating your own language at this point in when you first start developing anything. So really, is mouse pressed? All you're thinking about is how you want it to look on screen. For starters, I'm going to want a boolean. I want it to return a boolean. So we can have one of, thank you. Is mouse pressed? So yeah, we'll have that. What do I want in here? Int mouse button. So we're going to ask if this button is pressed on the mouse. simple enough. So return. We'll return the value. Well, true or false. We will return. Is mouse button down? Which I think we've already done. Yep. Int the button. So that's mouse button. Yep. So that's that. What do we need to put that with? And not mouse button, if I remember rightly. Work. Check variables. Checking variables. Yeah. So we're doing it the same way as the keys, aren't we? So it's just a repeat of is key pressed. Oh, that's easy enough then. So we can just put, have I put false or that horrible not thing? And I'm going to open brackets anyway. I can't be doing the pling. I think I mentioned it last week because I can't see it properly. If you want to put pling, mouse, buttons, you can. It's your choice. And in fact, if I look at that, it's telling me that it can be simplified to pling, keys, key code. So, who cares? I'm sorry, but really? Mouse button. If you do it the pling way, which is your choice entirely, you don't need the outside brackets. Equals false. Yep, that'll do. And that's it. Yeah. Okay, I'm happy with that. That'll check whether a mouse button gets clicked. We'll do that in a second. We'll check it works. Public, static, boolean. I'm not going to forget this time. So we've got is mouse pressed. So let's have is mouse released. So we're just finishing off what we started last week. I hope this is going to be enough to get us going. I don't want to make this too much about the code. I want this to make this more about how to do it. I mean, for me it's easy. I can do sit here and type all day, but is that going to help anybody? No. So we're going to return. Again, I'm going to have to do it the same way, aren't I? Yeah. So I'm going to repeat my mistakes. Is mouse button down. That's going to be mouse button. I did pluralize that one, yeah, good. And that is equal to false. And yes, I am making these a bit longer than needed on purpose. And it's just mouse buttons. So the second one there. And mouse button. And the first one there. That's it. That's all we're going to need there. Alright. What else do we need with mice? Mice. I'll have a public static. It's alright, this code won't take long. There's not that many to do. Public static double. Get mouse. Yeah, I'm doing a getter. Get mouse X, for instance. That might be helpful. It's X position. And this is a funny one because we're going to have to use double buffers for this. Unfortunately, GLFW on Java isn't as helpful as it is in C++, I don't think. But anyway, this is what they chose to use. I'm going to call this a buffer. Oh gosh, we've got Alt plus Enter. Oh, right, that cleared it, whatever it was. It was an import. So what it's done with that Alt plus Enter is it's done this line for me up here somewhere. There. It's just added that line there. Import Java, whatever that is. Normal IO, double buffer, which is a function. Okay. So now you know what that does. So that's a buffer. And we are going to use the buffer utils. So it's buffer utils, maybe? Yeah, we have it. I want to use that one. Second one down, org.lightweight Java game library. Yeah, you'll do. And that's going to be create double buffer. Capacity 1. It's an int. Capacity of 1. Okay, that'll do. It only has to hold one thing, so that's what it's going to do, I guess. So GLFW, we're going to need cursor. Here we go. I think that one will do. Get cursor position, it says here. Window X Y. Oh, and it returns a void. Okay. So the way we're going to use this, because it doesn't actually return the position, it just returns a void, it means that it's going to alter whatever we put in. So we've got m_window is our first thing. Then we want the X position, so let's have our buffer. That's why we needed it as a buffer, because it's a nullable double XPOS with those square brackets. Okay. So I'll have our buffer. It will place it in there. And this is nullable, so null. We don't want the Y position. There we go. It tells us that's the Y position we've set to null. So that will get us the X cursor position placed in buffer. And that means all we need to do then is return it. So return buffer dot get second one down. It returns a double, and we just want the first item, which is at 0. Computers count from 0. So if you tell it to put one item in there, it will put it in slot 0. If you tell it to put 2 items in there, it will work. In other words, buffer 0 could have gone there, and buffer 1 could have gone there. Yeah, it's those kind of things. So you could have actually got both at the same time, which we didn't want. Because now what we're going to do is copy and paste. In the worst, so I'm making every mistake possible now. So it's not get X, it's get Y. And now it's exactly the same, except we don't want our buffer there, we want our null there, because we don't want the X. And we want our buffer here. There we go. And that flicks over to the X position there. Return buffer get 0. So it's exactly the same code. So now we've made every single new mistake that I can think of right in this code. I'm trying to think of any more mistakes I can make. Yeah, let's make another one. Let's do a couple of silly things as well. So, public. Static. Now, I'm going to use vector2f. That one there. It comes out of JOML, the Java Open Maths Library. So we'll pop you in. And what I'm going to call this is get mouse position. Now this is actually good programming according to a lot of people. So what you've done is you've got the X mouse and you've got the Y mouse, and now you're saying, well, if you want the whole thing, you can have it. It's up to you. So what we would do here is just return a new vector to f, and that would be open brackets. This is where it gets silly. Okay, because what you would think is get mouse x, comma, get mouse y. All right. Now we're going to get red bits here, so don't worry about it. We're going to get errors. What's going on here? Right. It's expected us to close. All right, because I put extra brackets in like a numpty. Sorry, I put too many brackets in there. That's better. Now we've got a big red line. Let's put it in the middle of the screen. Big red line. So what's this all about? Cannot resolve constructor vec2 double double. But I put vec2f, not vec2d. Ah. Right, so these need to be floats, don't they? So that's the instinct to do that. And then to do that. Okay, so that turns them into floats, gets rid of all the errors, and everybody's happy again. Now I just want something silly. So just anything silly. Public, static. I'll have a string. Vec2 string. Okay. Let's make this a function because we can. So I'm going to return a string, and this string is going to be open brackets. You're probably thinking, actually, this isn't too bad, Blades. Why are you being a bit iffy about it all? Isn't this good programming? No, it's not. As a new programmer, I'm trying to approach this as a new programmer. This is the kind of things that I would be expecting. So I've got a comma and a space, and then we're going to plus get mouse y, and then we will plus, and we'll close the bracket at the end, and we'll return that back to whoever asked for it. Shall we check that? Okay. Window update, window render. Okay. So let's try. Let's do the get mouse position. So we can test everything using get mouse position because that calls the other two that we've just written. So that's the easiest way to test it. And it's a vector to f. So vector to f. You're now starting, hopefully, to see the stupidity of what I'm doing. And we're going to call this mouse pos. Oh, stuffy posi. No, do it properly. Position, because it'll it'll underline it in green if I don't spell words properly. That's another thing this thing does. And that is going to equal get mouse position. Alrighty. And it's come up with a red line. Alt Enter. Thank you. We got it lights up on the left hand side now. It's being used. Now, how are we going to? So let's do. I want another thingy. Can I do it here? I'm going to try and do a public. This is going to be interesting. Public void log. And that's going to take a string and that's going to be text. Okay. Actually interested to see if this will work now. And what we're going to do is system dot out dot print line, and am I allowed a string? Yes, I am. So text. And that's what it's going to do. Alrighty. So that's just a loggy thingy. So we can now log that mouse position. So actually, yeah, we'll do it this way. Log. And it's going to be string. Mouse equals plus mouse position, which is a vector to f dot to string. See if that works. No. Non-static method log java blah 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 cannot be referenced from a static context. Okay. There you go. So I'll make it static. Simple. What happens if we run that? Right, let's get the run window open. Alright. Let's see if this works first. Just as a laugh. There you go. Comes out with something very, very weird. Doesn't it? Okay, that's... Yeah, okay. So, yeah, it seems to be working, sort of. Ish. Right. Let's try the second version, which is vector to string. Right. So let's not log you for a second. And let's try Just type in vec to string. Lovely. And let's run that. Well, that didn't do much. Okay, so what we have to do is string text equals that, and then we can log the string. Which I do successfully badly. I prefer it next to. Thank you. May as well call it text, the same name. There we go, let's run that. Oh, well that's giving proper numbers, not those weirdo numbers. 00s up here somewhere. And down here we should have the full lot, 800 by 600. Yeah, so that's working nicely. But look at what we've written. Two ways of doing something, but the logging is the same, so I think I might just keep that, actually. That's useful. That doesn't make much sense, does it? You see, I put vector to string, so really that should be mouse position there. And that's the first mistake I've made, because what I've done here is correct. Makes perfect sense, and it works, but it's not telling us what it's doing. If you're going to have that line, it should be print mouse position to console as the name of the function, because that's what it's doing. It's not doing what we're asking it to. So we need a vector 2f here. And we'll just call that vector. No, we won't, because that's actually a thing, I would have thought. No. We'll just call it vector for now. See if it complains at us. So what this should say here, between our pluses, is vector dot x and vector dot y. Does that convert to a string? Well, it seems to think it does. So let's try that out again. String text vector to string. Get rid of the first log. Okay. Sorry. So now we're seeing it does exactly the same, but it's more useful. It doesn't just do one thing. We can now put any vector we want, any vector to f. We can now log that out to the screen. Sorry, to the console. The only trouble is it's a bit out of control. So I would put a condition in here, an if statement. And the if statement would probably go here, where I've done that. Alright, so we can get rid of the first, well, yeah, we'll get rid of these two lines here now. We're done with those. This is what you should be doing as a new programmer, is playing with things. Oh, right. I did need that line. ZZ. It's that line I don't need. Right. Alright, so let's... First of all, this is getting a bit messy for me to work with, so this is why I have line spaces. Let's have some coffee. Personally, I would also put that on. It's a personal thing, you don't have to do this, but I do. Because that gives me what I call a test area. In other words, leave the rest of the code alone, don't change it no matter what, because that we have checked and is working. But this stuff we can play with. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say if, and we are going to use window dot is mouse pressed, and we need a mouse button, so that will be GLFW, and I think it's just button. Oh, it's mouse button 1. There you go, it tells me. Thank you. So if that button is pressed, we shall do whatever it is here. Logstream.log. Ah. Okay. We'll call this our main log. We've got a naming clash, which we shouldn't have. Right, it's a void, and it's red. What's wrong with you? Cannot resolve method main log java dot language dot string. Yes, thank you. Finally. So our text isn't working properly. And we're using vec to string, and this is what I was expecting actually. To no, can't do it. Now that's interesting. All I've done is put it inside an if statement. All of a sudden, no, we can't do it. That is interesting. Which means we can't program it really that way. It can't resolve it because it's all inside an if statement, which is quite correct. It shouldn't be done that way. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my if statement and cut that out, because that's obviously that's causing a problem. What happens if I put it here? Oh, it works. So the positioning and the way in which you do things matters. That's what we've just learnt. Ah, right, thank you. Why can't I just do that? Weird editor. So, it'll put an extra. I always put extra lines in. just to separate things out. According to what we've just done, it should all work now. Let's test it. Error. Identifier expected. What's that? Oh right, I've left that dot in by accident. Sorry, my bad. Let's run. There we go. Thought it, you see, if it doesn't give an error, I'll put that there. If it doesn't give an error here, anywhere, then it should run. Now if I click, look at that. Oh, I wasn't expecting that, he says. Fibbing. Look what's happening. Is mouse pressed? It were that fast that we are getting for each click 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 8 to 9 results per click. That shows how. Can I get less? He says. Hey, new game. Oh, that was a good one. You see, really clicked it hard there, and we just get one result. But oh, there's zillions. If we keep the button down, oh, that's interesting. It didn't work, and that was the point. It didn't work. That's not supposed to be happening, is it? Isn't this supposed to be like a key click? See, mouse buttons equals false. It shouldn't be repeating like that. It worked for our key code. Is key down, is button down, and that false. So what's happening? Well, the mouse is being read and unread, or read and unread. It doesn't work like the keyboard. The mouse and the keyboard work differently. So, how are we going to cope with that? We're not. Simple. I'm going to leave the code exactly as is, as if I hadn't seen a thing, and I think it's all wonderful and good. Let me just make sure I cleared them. And there's your answer. We didn't clear them, did we? There you go. So by checking it, we have actually found a mistake. Well, what we should have in our update, so we found our first bug, as they call them. You see, everything checks out, but the functionality isn't there. The function's wrong. The functionality isn't there because we didn't do this. And it's, well, basically that. Copy and paste. It's not GLFW key. It's going to be a mouse button thingy. So let's put my coffee down a minute. Mouse button last. That one. Equals 8, by the way. Ow. Darn it. Legs died. So this is going to be buttons, isn't it? Or mouse buttons, probably. And is mouse. down, button down, that one. There we go. Now let's try it. We've added a line. Okay. Yep, keep it pressed down. Everything works. Right button doesn't work. Left button gives us a result. Oh, fantastic. We solved the problem. We are the heroes. And that was just by experimentation. Do we keep that test going? Can do. I'm going to leave the test there. Right. This is where I have to get a bit more serious now, because I'm trying to teach programming, aren't I? This is what we've written. And I've taken... Actually, I haven't. What I'm going to do... Yeah, okay, fine, thanks. Is take as many of the spaces out as we possibly can. That one doesn't need. Alright, these are all returns. Returns, return, return, return. That's not needed. Taking spaces out. No, everything else seems quite packed, and that's not needed. Right, so taking all spaces out. I'm going to do the same on this side, because I think it's only fair that I do it to the whole program and not just a part of the program. It's another reason why I put these separators in. Yep, okay. That should really be called log to console, shouldn't it? Yeah. Log to console. I prefer that. Because it actually says now what it is. That's the first thing you should change every single time. Make it do what it says. So I can just paste that in there lazily. That's better. Okay. Today's lesson, we've done a bit of code. So, and we've corrected it, and we've tested it. But look at our code. Can you read it? I can't. If I put my glasses on, I probably could. I'll be honest with you. Look at that for a screen. And I haven't even taken the extra things out. That's automatic, by the way. That's what the IDE does. Everything from 15 to 28 there. That's the IDE. That's how it does things. So the IDE part, I can probably get away with reading, even though I don't... yeah, it's just grouping stuff together. I mean, that shouldn't be grouped together. That should be a space. It's only because it's in the same jar. So that's how it should be in my book. Yeah, it's done it quite nicely here. I mean, it's done this here. And I don't understand. You see, this is what I don't understand. It's done this. And yet, haven't we got this function here? Window.createWindow. It's not up here. It doesn't make sense to me because it doesn't match. But I think that's a possible problem. We've got that, and nowhere have we imported it. Alt, enter, adjust code style settings. That's all it's got. I find that I find that interesting, because window is not a class. This is the first thing I've got to talk about. Java calls this a class. It isn't. It's a namespace. It isn't a class. It's using the word class as a collection of functions. Don't get that confused with what... Hold on a minute. No, I can't say that, because in C++ you can do it as a collection of functions as well. Does namespacing exist? No. So we haven't got namespacing. That's the first thing I always check. Because I like to use namespacing to get rid of certain things, like conflicts in names. First things first. Readability. Can you read your own writing? The answer is no. We could help a little bit by doing, let's see, that. That. No, I want that over there, please. I can go back up the screen. Thank you. Because that's done on purpose. Okay. I would also, after every if statement, make it a priority, put a space. Start making rules. Okay. Okay. Do these group together? Okay. So that's separate. That's a lot better than it was a second or two ago. But there's a problem. You can't see everything. Okay. Now you can see everything. I was splitting the screen on purpose. Let's do it fully now, shall we? I'll show you what I mean. This is actually very, very, very important. That's window, main program back up, please. Main program, I want you to split screen again. Now, we've got problems. I could adjust this a little bit, I think. Down to about there. Oh, that really hasn't solved the problems. Yeah. What are we going to do? It's becoming very, very difficult to read this in compact formats. And if you've got smaller... This is 1080, by the way. So this is 1080p, I think the size of this screen is called. If you've got less than 1080p, yeah, you're going to start struggling. But even at 1080p, when I do this, look at that there. Yeah. And down here, oh dear. Oh dear. What's going on? It's all becoming off. You're getting bits and pieces. We're losing readability. Now, if I leave this to itself, it's going to start closing these brackets and making a dirty, great big long line. But what to do. Let's make it more readable, shall we? So what we could do is here. Oh no. Have I got a private? Yes, we have a private area. First of all, make sure your private area is well marked and separated. Okay, this doesn't look too bad as it is, although I still don't like it. On a smaller, yeah, it's still not meeting the requirements, really, of thinner screens. And it's important that you can read the code, because if you can't read the code, how are you going to be able to improve it? I mean, writing and programming is not about just putting code on the screen. It's also about going back to that code and improving that code, cleaning it all up, making it better, making it more simplistic, easier to understand. And that's what I'm trying to say. Going back to my original example, I'll put it here for a minute. So int count equals count plus 1. Now to do that, you would put a variable in. Notice where I'm putting it, please. It's separated. So, don't need that. There we go. Fantastic. And a little light bulb pops up. Replace with equals with plus plus, or replace equals with plus equals. So what it's saying is there's 3 ways of writing that line. And it's the equal sign. So you could do count plus equals 1 is the same. Or you can put count plus plus. All 3 are legal. All 3 are correct. Now, which one should you use? The answer is the bottom one. That is called incrementing by 1. So, basic code tutorial. So this is increment by 1. And I can't spell increment. Thank you. Increment by 1. This is add 1. Notice I'm using very careful language here. Add 1. And this is object. Sorry, no, it isn't an object in this one. It's a variable. Variable. No, I'm not going to say that. Memory location plus incremented. Sorry. No, I'm going to have to use variable. Can't use memory location. Variable plus 1. And each one of those is different. The computer sees it differently. use the bottom one, please, if you're going to increment by 1. Use the second one let's say for f times 1. That's what you would use the second one for. 2 maybe. So now it becomes that plus equals, use it for add, and what can we call that? Equation. That's what I see plus equals as. Count equals count plus 1. I don't see it. This should only be used if it's a complex equation. By complex, I mean that there are multiple variables involved and the count isn't necessarily part of the equation. That kind of thing. So that isn't there. That would be f, for instance. So count has got nothing to do with it, or count is only part of the complex equation. Count is affected only by part. Count only affects part of the complex equation, and count is on the right hand side. Be very careful because these are called left hand sides and right hand sides. Left hand sides are a type of variable, and right hand sides are also type. So left is a type, right is a type. And sometimes errors will come up and it'll say left hand side has to be such and such, or right hand side must be such and such, or we need something on the left, or we need something on the right. That is my definition of what you should use and in what situation, really, I think. So that's something to bear in mind. This spacing that I've now got here is what you should have in your head for writing code. That is what I would call perfect code, except we don't have f. Int f equals 10, because I can. So this is good code now, because everything is used correctly in the correct way. Okay? And everything is on the code is on the left, and your instructions, because this really should be your instruction manual to your code, is on the right. How can you do that though when you're coding? You need to stylize yourself somehow. All I can do is show you the way I was taught. I mean, let's be honest, I can only show you the way I was taught to program. Okay. First thing was they gave me a load of code like this that just looked like jumbledy-jumble garbage, and said, right, can you read that? And I said, no, it doesn't make any sense to me. Does it mean anything to you? And I said, no, it just doesn't. It just looks bleh. Yes, it does. So let's, okay, test initialization. I've already started writing good code here, and then we went off into jumped off the edge, literally. We jumped into the abyss. So what's this? There's going to be a counter argument to all of this in a second, by the way. What is all of that? That is an internal thing for GLFW, and it allows us to give GLFW, which is graphics library for windowing or Windows. It does Windows. It makes Windows, creates Windows. There you go. Graphics library for creating Windows. These are called hints, which means that GLFW doesn't have to abide by. These are not rules. We're not telling it what to do. We're saying this is what we think we prefer, but if something better is available, we don't mind having that. 4.5, and I asked for 3.3. So it's decided that OpenGL 4.5 is equivalent to OpenGL 3.3. Well, it is, and it isn't in some ways, but it's close enough. I don't mind that one. Where are we printing it out? Okay. OpenGL version. Again, add that. And then it's plus, and then it's that. There we go. Right, let's just test that now. There we go. Now it gives us OpenGL version 4.5 core profile. There you go. Now we've got getting everything, all the information. So it's now telling us what it is. It doesn't just put 4.5 up. 4.5 what? Apples? My God. You know, it could be anything. Absolutely anything. It says reaching for a can of dark black burpy liquid. That's going to be good. There we go. So they've been bothered to say process finish with exit code 0. So we should be bothered saying OpenGL version 4.5. Be informative with your, I call this logging or console logging. If you're going to print anything out to the console, make sure, one, the information that you're printing out is correct, and secondly, it's spelt correctly, because I'm bad spelling, I have bad spelling, so I have to check my spelling. And thirdly, it's relevant and tells you the proper information. So that's that line. I was talking about these window hints. So these window hints, we could group all of these together, couldn't we? Really. So what we could do here is say something like window hints. Okay, and we could go down to our private section because it's not for external use, and we could, there's our test initialization, so we should put it after that one really, and we can put private static void, and we just called it window hints. There you go. You've got the same program. I'll take that off so I can see more of the screen actually. But look what's happened. So that line really goes with that line now. So you do your window hints, you create your window. Then we've got a test initialization again. Then we make the current context and sort out the GL, OpenGL create capabilities. Yeah. Which is all to do with the context. So we're doing all the context stuff now for OpenGL. I can explain that, I suppose. I think I might do that next week. I think we might learn a bit more about OpenGL. GLFW in the meantime has video modes. GLF get video mode, primary monitor, this one. That will return the video mode and allows me to set the position of my window on video mode.width and height using the video mode, which is how big is your screen. Really? Yeah, there we go. That's a system printout. That's a log. So that goes on a separate line. All logs go on a separate line. Sometimes I will highlight them by putting like lines across or something, or stars across, or God knows what. Okay, that's step 1. That's looking a little bit cleaner. But now creating a window, we test the initialization of GLFW. We give the window some hints. We then create the window. We now test the initialization of the window. Make context, create capabilities, get the video mode. This is actually starting to make sense. We set the window position. We give it a clear colour, what we want it to be, the background colour. Really? That should be a public ability. So no. I've just spotted something. That shouldn't be there. That should be a public ability. So we've got update and render. Is open, and then we're going into the is key pressed. Okay, so I'm going to put it here. After is open, I'm going to put, thank you, Muppet. So, this is what I mean. You've got to go back and improve. You've got to do this virtually all the time, and you should be doing it as habit. So, public static void set background color. I'll spell it the American way, and I'll spell this correctly. And that will take... Now we've got an interesting conundrum, because we could call it two things. We could go with red, green, blue, alpha. Well, they have. So why should we make it any different? Well, we could have a vector for F. Just to be awkward. So one choice... Let's get rid of that in a minute. One choice is vector for F color. I've seen that before now. I'm not going to hit Alt return because I'm not going to be doing it this way. And then just setting the color, using the color. But when we come to actually do the OpenGL part, what's going to happen? I'm leaving it red on purpose, so I'm going to delete it in a minute. We're going to use color. But how are we going to do it? We're going to do it like this. Color.x. Color.y. Does that make sense? Red equals red color X, green color Y, blue color Z, alpha color whatever that, I think it's W. it doesn't make sense. So we're not going to do that. And instead, get rid of that. What we're going to do is get rid of this. And we're just going to put float. Red. Float. Green. Float. Blue. Oh dear, it's going off the edge of the screen. Alpha. That's a shame it went off the edge of the screen. So now all we have to do is type in here red, green, I don't know, blue. Now it doesn't need to give us hints anymore, does it? It's taken the hints off, if you notice. Alpha. There you go. So that's what it becomes. But now we can use this from anywhere. So that becomes doesn't actually save any lines of text or code, does it? But what it does is it gives us extra functionality. So why not use it? Because now it says what it's doing. Does where is it? I've lost it now. Press this key for it. Does GL clear color really say what it's doing? No. Doesn't. Not unless you know OpenGL anyway. Well, we're not making. This is another point. When you start programming, you're not programming for you. You're programming for whoever's going to be using this Java Engine 3D. Why should they have to know OpenGL to be able to use your engine? Why should they need to know GLFW to use your engine? Look at look at what you call things. Create window. Window hints, yeah, we're looking good. That's private. Test is private. So none of this is outside now. All of that is private. That's just a straight GLFW thing. That can be made different, I guess. See, that's a very important line, unfortunately. That's the most important line in the whole of this. It's the one that I don't really want to mess with, because it's actually doing what it says. But with OpenGL, everything has to have a context. So whatever you set it up, like the background is part of the context. Whatever you set, the context menu, there's a big sheet of different things you can do with OpenGL. And one of those things is background color. That goes into the context. And by making that context current, it means when you render to your window, it will use that context sheet and all the variables that have been set. Like, it's called being a state machine. So the state that all those variables are in will influence this, basically. It will influence your rendering. So if you go out of context, your rendering ain't gonna happen the way you think it's gonna happen. It's gonna be a bit woo. If you notice, it's kept its red, green, blue alpha there. That's clever of it. I like that idea. I think that's wonderful. I'm not sure how it looks in Eclipse, or how Eclipse works, or references all of this stuff. Probably just the same way as Windows Visual Studio doesn't help you. I like this because it's giving help everywhere. All these yellow lines. They are possible choices or improvements and should be looked at. Yellow means please look at these for a second time and think about them. What does that say at the top? Dangling JavaDoc comment. I don't know what that means. Good. I'm not using JavaDocs, so I'm not really that bothered. Yet. Now, we've sorted out one idea. We can create our own language. I mean, we created the language that this is in. Some people would do an underscore test initialization to separate the words, because that you might need to glance at it twice, and it also means that you can tell that you've done it. Some people might just say use that only for local variables. Some people might say use it for all variables. It's your choice. You can use that for everything. It's legal. So mouse buttons can be underscore. But if I was doing underscore, I wouldn't have the second capital B. I would call it buttons, like that. So that's how I would do it. But because I am not using the underscore, I have a capital B to separate the words. So you start, to make a word, I start with a small letter, I go to a capital letter for separate words. Exactly the same way as GLFW have done. And if we look back down here, OpenGL uses the same thing. So if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. I mean, you can make it clearer. If it's not clear to you, change it. This is now starting to become clear to me, except we've still got this width problem thing going on. How I view it is that on the left hand side of your screen you should have your code, and on the right hand side of your screen you should have your notes. But we haven't made any notes. Well, we did. I did a token one to show you. Alright. Oh, there's one here as well. So that's in the wrong place. You shouldn't have notes in the middle of your code. So that's not good. Take that out. It's actually not really needed. Alright, so that nearly fits on the screen now. So let's bring this back. So to fit it on the screen, we would have to tab once, tab twice. Oh, just fits on the screen on 2 tabs. That's roughly just past middle as well. That's interesting. This is how I was taught to write down the screen instead of across the screen. It's a different way of approaching coding. It creates a completely different visual effect. And actually does get a little bit, you have to get a little bit used to it, I must admit. So here we go. The first thing you do is on each of your titles here, they cannot go past this point. Okay, you are allowed to split these onto separate lines. Would I advise doing that? Not sure. Create window. I've seen that before now. Play around with that. Don't like it, actually. That's an option. Okay, that's going down the screen. Watch how it gets formatted. This is actually done by the IDE. Okay, then we've got space. Nothing needed there. So now we've got Windows hints. The IDE is doing this for me. All I'm doing is hitting return. I'm writing downwards now. There we go. There's less on the screen now. You can see that it initializes. We then give window hints. We then create the window with that information. So test initialization at the top, and we test initialization of the window. But it's now obvious that initialization is being used twice. The first time for initializing GLFW and the second time for initializing your window. Nice. So that's just become more clear. This function we didn't write, but it can still be split. And after every semicolon, always leave a space, because that's the end of a command. Okay, so each command has its own block now. But look already what's happening. Look at all this space. Yeah. That one. Go like that. Equals that. Why have I got all of these brackets? I don't think I need that bracket, do I? No, you see? I don't even need that bracket. So there you go, I've corrected a mistake just by doing that, because it's pretty obvious. Alright, if statements. Multi-line if statements will come up, yes. There's no two ways about it. But look at this. So that goes there. That goes there. And that goes there. Look at how much clearer that is now. And you can actually split that down even further because there's more brackets inside. But I don't, really, because I think that's an equation. So that's looking good, that's looking okay. Those are doubles. So what I would do is say, hold on a minute, we're going to an int here. Is this a double? So I would check. Video mode is a GLFW vid mode. Okay. So what's a GLFW vid mode? We can check. GLFW vid mode. It's a function. So why did I leave the 0.5 as a double? Is width the double? Interesting. It's an int. Right. Don't use doubles unless you have to. So I'm going to put those to floats. And it's still correct because we're converting our floats and our ints and our God knows what's to ints anyway. That's what that means. It means please convert that lot into an int. So that's an integer and an integer. So that equation boils down to an integer. So that's why I keep putting these little things in. Putting the F on the end of something is very important. A double takes twice as long to process. Than a float, because there's twice as much of it, and it has to load twice as much information onto your CPU, which takes twice as much space. Yeah, floats are faster. That's all there is to it. I'm trying to think of a system where it isn't. Nope, can't think of one next. Background colour. Oh, this might look nice. Some people will actually go as far as taking that first bracket off as well and putting it... I can't, so I can't put it there. I'm putting it at the beginning there, so that line matches up. I don't. I look for the beginning. That tells me that's the end of the command marker. That tells me what the command is. Nothing gets in between, ever. You'll see that with all of them. Wherever that is, if you go straight up, you get to the command. Go straight up, you get to the command. So it's command, and then it is variables for that command. Variables? Yeah. Input to the command. Whatever you want to call it, really. Right, let's hit return, see what it does. Nice. That's nice. I still think this is too long, though. I don't think I'm gaining anything by hitting return there. No, I'm not, you see. Didn't think so. Something like that sticks out to me. Look at all this space we're getting. Yes. Look also how uncluttered it all becomes. Print line. Oh. Why does it do that? I don't know. See, it's not a comma. There we go. Actually, that doesn't look too bad. On most systems, that would have come back to here. No, I like it. I like this idea. This idea is starting to grow on me. Right, so now we can see what the commands do. Excellent. And this is now what you got as a function. What you should do about... This is hard to say. Comments. Yeah. I'm going to leave it there. Comments. Use them. Don't abuse them. I was taught to comment every line. So you would come along, and I don't advise this, and you would comment every single line going down. So, for instance, here, GLFW, create window. And you would put in command creates the window. Hold on a minute. What does that say on the left-hand side? GLFW create window. And what does that say on the right-hand side? Creates the window. No. Please, 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 please don't do that. Because what are you going to put for the next line? Actually, this one is use pixels, because it is in pixels and it doesn't say width. Doesn't tell you what it is. Actually, it's I would probably just put pixels as the note. So I'll put in pixels. That begs the question, why didn't I call it width in pixels? Is that illegal? Well, it is if you join it all up. Why didn't I do that? Because that's what it is. And now we've got a lot more space. It would probably make more sense to actually tell the reader more information. String title. Is that self-explanatory? Just made this one damn long again. But now it makes more sense. Because now when I look at width in pixels, I won't have to check that it's an int. I'll know it's an int. Because you can't have a floating point pixel. You can't have half a dot on your screen. Just wondering about title. I mean, that is pretty self-explanatory. So that's just been, forget it. That's just been, forget it. So when you're doing comments, reflect back upon what you've written as the code. That is the best way of putting it. We've got two null values here. What are they? Right. So let's find out. So GLFW create window. Didn't need to do it that much, did I? GLFW create window. Can I just double click on this and it'll tell me? No, it doesn't anyway. Its title. It's a long monitor and a long share. So what I would do there is I would put long monitor. And no, you don't hit return, you go down one. And a long share. Somebody might want to use it. We should give the option to use it. But we haven't. Why? So there we go. We just questioned ourselves again. Why haven't we used that? So what I would say is long, and we are going to call it main monitor display. I think I prefer rather than monitor. And that can equal null. Okay, because that's what we've told ourselves. And why can't it equal null? Expected semicolon. Huh? So we can't do that. Ah, there you go then. And the other one was long share. Because that's share with other display without the spaces in. Okay. And that means I can now copy you. I can now paste you in there. Main display, long monitor. Okay, that's you done. And share with other display. Copy. That tells me what that one does. Here we go. Over here, though, look what's happened. We now get a red mark. Boo hiss. So we've got comma, null. There you go. Still have to do the null. Alt, enter. Java language constant. Oh, I'm using 12.3, not 12.2. Okay. There we go. Comma, null. And it doesn't like me. Why? Oh. Interesting. Have I chosen the wrong one? It looks like it. Alt plus no. Static constant. Why would I want to do it from com.sun.org? How interesting. Alright. There we go. I'll do it the Java way, I think. I'm not allowed to do that either. You're joking me. Java, what are you doing to me? It's not working, that. That's weird. I've not experienced this in any language before, so null is just null. What is going on? Null type, null cipher, null pointer exception. Could be not that. Right, we have as choices. Ah, wait a minute. Wasn't it memory? No. It was memory utils I used before. And that worked. Try that. Yeah, that's the right one. Good. It is... Let's go and have a look at which one I've just imported for null. That one there. I imported the ORG LWJGL system memory utility dot null. Wow. Interesting. Does it work? Because it says it does. Oh, right. I haven't finished over here. No, I haven't. I was looking at GLFW create window, that's why. Well. Alright, yep. So, yeah, we can still click around and get where our mouse pointer is. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. But, as a programmer, would you like to see what's on the right-hand side, or would you prefer to see what's on the left-hand side? Don't need that bracket there. Where it's gone to. Come back, bracket. All is forgiven. Ooh, there it is. There you go. New game I've just invented. Oh no, is this cat snuzzling on me? Eek. So on the left is one style. On the right is what I expect people to do. Which one do I prefer? Well, I think you can already tell what my answer to this is. I think the one on the left is a lot easier to handle, a lot easier to get to grips with mentally, and a lot easier to read, because you know that each of the first lines is the command. It's always the sorry, don't put your markers on. It's always the command, and you can see when where the you can go to the command line and say, oh, there's a return value. Good. Makes reading simple, and that's half the battle. A lot of programmers will type in a program and not even read what they've typed. And I've seen that. It's amazing. So firstly, write functions with good names. Secondly, make sure you display your code in a fashion that is concise and readable. If you didn't know the language French, you wouldn't pick up a book and read French. Yes, you can, and you would probably understand it. So if you were coming to a new project and you were reading what's on the left, you would have an easier time of understanding the methods that they use. And don't need that in anymore. On the right, you would just be bogged down with picking. You'd be knitting. You'd be picking out what you need to know. Whereas on here, you could probably just highlight and drag out what you need to know. See, it also makes highlighting easier, by the way. So yeah, there is that. Here, absolutely spot on. Shutdown's okay. Update. What are we doing in the update? We're doing a clear. Yeah. Alright, that's all we're going to do for clear then. That line's okay. Split it off. That line's okay. Split it off. That line's okay. Keys equal is keys down. Mouse buttons equals is mouse down. Mouse button down. No, those can be left. Those are readable. That's gonna change that function, so I am going to do it. Not because it's not readable, because it's a function that's going to change. Would that gain us anything? Yeah, it would. Space to write in. And it also makes more sense if you do that. Okay. Just been interrupted. Ah, yes. This is what I want you to do. That's a lot better. What I also would do is that. Because that is a lot better. I haven't left any going over, have I? No, I haven't. You're still allowed to spread out to the right hand side. That's not a problem. But now you can read downwards. Okay, that's getting a bit clogged up down here. But then we get that nice separator. Yeah. Anytime you put that in, return. Yeah. And that means we can take these brackets off now. I think, yes, we can. I don't think we're going to be too bad now on the reading. Now you can change it back. So I'm going to take the brackets off there. And I put the space there. Somebody once asked me, by doing this, don't you think your number of lines per file is going to go up? I blooming well hope they are, or I've done something very, very wrong. And I turned around and said, why is that a problem? I mean, the only reason in the old days why the length of a file was registered and looked at if it got too long was for the time it took to read the file. Because computers in those days were slow. And 1,000 line file could take a minute. And I'm not joking either. In the old days it was different. Things were slow, and monitors were 80 columns wide, which is why these editors all do this when you hit return. All do this kind of thing and format it for you. I know it's highlighting things that I don't care about. Why have I got an orange one there? Mouse buttons. What's wrong with mouse buttons? Alright. I was messing around with it, but why red? Okay. Alright, done my hands. Oh, we're into Superland here. This is fantastic. We are in a window class, and look at what I'm looking at. Look at the function names. I wonder if there's a better way of doing this. Seriously, I do. I wonder if there's a better way of doing this. I think there should be. Right, that's your and. I'm not returning for that, although I should. Yes, you should. Let's do it. Because the command is the top part. There we go. That looks like a proper function now. Okay. I'll stay with that format. I'm actually liking the way it's doing the formatting. All you do is press return. That's all you have to do. You're not doing a whole lot extra. You can ask it to format like this automatically. Well, it does do it automatically. It's just that I didn't write it with this by hitting returns. Yeah. Fantastic. That makes that so much easier to read. This is true, actually. I'm supposed to do that. Does this work in this? Yeah, it does. It sort of works. I got the plus wrong. Yeah. Yeah, that works. Colours aren't great, but it works. Normally, when it comes to the private ones, I don't bother. But I think you should, really. If statements, get there, please. There we go. I love the way it's doing the formatting. Would I do it for that block? No. Simple as it's in the private area, and it's just a bunch of information. So if you have to stop and read it, then you should stop and read it. There we go. That's okay. And the last function. Magic. This has worked out rather well. I'm quite chuffed at that. So 263 lines by choice. Is that good or bad? It's immaterial these days, doesn't matter. Normal code block for or file size comes in the thousands. Anything up to 10,000 lines you can have in one literal block of code, because they can be that complicated nowadays. Whereas something as simple as what I'm doing here, no, it's only a couple of hundred lines. But I've already laughed at mouse button, key down. Window hints I agree with. That's got something to do with the window. The initialization does. Vector to string. What the heck's that got to do with... I mean... Really? That's a utility. And then we've got all of this input. Oh, I've given the game away. And then we've got all of this input. And then we've got all of this window. That's created a thought. Maybe we should have a different thing for our input. A different class, maybe. Yeah. I think that might be a good idea. Let's have a look at this before I go any further. I do want to write stuff today. I don't want to be messing around with transferring that over. I'm not doing a refactor this week's Ken, sorry, no. Alright, let's have a look at this. Boolean is running equals true. That is separated off because it is a statement initialization of a variable. Then we have that. So what we could have is that. Look how it changes in front of your eyes. Amazing. Window. Dot create window. Look at this. Look at that. Wow. Oops. I want that as well. While. Look at the top. Look at that now. Main program. Doesn't that look more professional? Doesn't that look easier to read? Already we've found out there's 3 commands there. And already we know what those commands do. And we have a good idea of how they're doing it. It's just phenomenal. It's an if statement. Is running, should not be on the same line. Should be on the next line down. And after an if statement, should always be a space. That's just a straight statement. That's getting a mouse position. Oh, sorry. Creating a string. And that should be on the next line down. There we go. And after each of those semicolons should be a space. After every end bracket, there should be a space. Look at that now. That is properly formatted, readable programming. And if you don't know what something does, you've got enough space on the right hand side to make a note. And that's the point to this. Plus, if you notice, there's only this one here that's actually going off. Can I do that? Oh, so I can. But now everything should fit on the screen. And, surprise, surprise, oh, it does. And that's the important thing. Nothing down here to, swing left and right. I might delete that. I might keep it. I don't know. I might move it because, again, log to console. What's that got to do with the main program? That's a utility. So I've spotted 2 utilities already, which is good. And that's what you got to learn to do. Look at what you've done. Spot things. Spot your utilities. Spot the... Hold on a minute. We've got all of this input code, and then we've got all of this window code. And this file's called window. Maybe you just want to click on here, right click, new, Java class, and name it as input. Maybe that's what you mean. I hate it when it does that. We should start them like that. There we go. Is everything okay in here now? I think we're good to go. So next week we have refactoring to learn. And it's actually one of the hardest things to do, as anybody will tell you. So back to the main program. I always put my notes at the bottom. It's up to you. To do. And then I put my name. And it tells me it doesn't know how to spell my name. Now you do. Thank you. And to do is refactor user input. No, just put input. Input methods are called, aren't they? Methods from window to input. Stop. There we go. There we go. So now my project has a to-do for next week. Lovely. Let's do some programming. My God, it's 2 hours already. I just said let's do some programming. Okay, let's set you some homework. We've got an hour. Let's see if I've got an example that's fantastic. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write some code, and it's going to be up to you what you do with it. That's not the right thing. Here we have some code for you to work on, or work with, work on, do what you want with. So I can get rid of input for now. We'll deal with that next week. Window, just get rid of you. That's the easiest way of doing it, isn't it? And then putting it back in this place. Yeah, that's it. Lovely. Right, so in our beautiful new main program that we have just sorted out, I am now going to write something interesting. If anybody was watching a couple of weeks ago, I think... Oh, Soup World, yay, you're here. Hiya. Well, you were here last week, weren't you? You sneaked in last week. This week, Soup World, I've been doing more of a teaching approach rather than just splattering code at the screen all the time, which is what I do all week, really. I don't want to make this into just another splatter code at the screen. But that's what I'm about to do, because this is your homework. How can I do this? so that it'll be very, very easy for you. I want to set the most ridiculously hard piece of homework. Not to put you off, but to make you think. So we have a public class called Main Program, and I've made it complicated like this because I wanted to hide the main in here. There's a reason for that, to make this hard. Right. This is how I'm going to set up the main program now. And I'm going to leave it to you lot to see if you can work out what's wrong with it. It'll be obvious, but can you work out what is actually wrong with it? So we'll start getting some variables together, shall we? We'll just do some static finals. And it'll be an int, we'll call it, it's final, not finals. Oh, more people get off the keyboard. Great. Int, and we're going to call this width. I'm going to call that 800, and semicolon on that, okay. Private, static, final. And this is again, it's going to be called int HEIGHT equals 600. Those are familiar numbers. Yeah. So now let's pop them in. We know what they're for. Don't hold back. Just pop them in. You see? Very nice. Just pop in like that. Next one is going to be a private static string, and that's going to be called title, and that's going to be equal to Java 3D game engine. Hold on. Oh, that's handy. We have that down there, don't we? So let's copy that. There you go. Isn't that nice? Very nice. These semicolons at the end of these lines. I'm going to have to keep remembering. Private. Static final. I'll have a double. And I'm going to call it frame cap. Now, the frame cap has to be something that you can't get to. Now, I've done a test on the other computer. Well, it's the same computer, but on the Windows side, and I got 5,000, so I'll go with 5,000. Just wanted to can I get an FPS of 5,000? Yes, I possibly can. Highest I've ever seen it is 2.5. So that's double that. I think we're safe. Okay. Right. Private. Boolean. Cut. Okay. Now this is not Java or Java E's what I'm about to do. I'm going to tag it as a member variable. That is from C++. That's how I write my C++. But it also works in Java. You could call it, it's a member variable of, because it's private boolean, the main program class. So when you see an M in front of a variable name, it means it's a member of the class. Alright, and can be used anywhere in that class. We better put it equal to true, actually. No. You don't put it equal to anything. It's not a final. Okay. Take that line out of there. That's nice. So the first thing we now do in our main program is log to console, welcome to the idea projects. There you are. That's a bit nice. That's a bit more friendly. I like that. Let's see. We've got his running now. Oh. Wait a minute. We're doing a game engine, aren't we? Alrighty, let's do a game engine. So we'll have a new Java class, and we're going to call it game. Is that okay? Do you think that's going to work? Yeah. Alright. What should we put in here? We can put nothing in here, actually. Right, I'm just going to leave it as an empty class. So what we'll have is public game. Public void. And that will be input. Yeah, we'll do that. Public void. We'll probably need an update of some kind. Render. Yeah, we'll have one of those as well. Always need a render. Public void render. So those are the kind of functions that I would expect somebody to use in a game. We might not, but we'll see. Okay, so back in our main program, we can now put right, okay. Yeah, we'll put it there. So, private. There we go. Alright, so let's start. This is our main program. So I'm going to call it main program. And we are now going to make this into a class object. So, public main program. And what we need to do for our main program is just set up the variables. I've only got two. So M is running equals false, true, false, false. And oh no, M underscore G. That's better. M underscore game equals new game. There we go. What's... oh gosh, yeah. Ah, I did that badly. My apologies. Alrighty, what have we got here now? So that's your main program. remember that this public static void main string args, that is tab entry point for running the code. So that's what that is. That's okay. Now this is actual program I'm going to write. It's going to be quite a big one. Okay, public void start the thing. How do we want to start the thing? If M is running, always return, and then just type return. Okay, there's a nice one. Otherwise, it's an if statement. Run. Yeah. I'm not sure I like that. Okay. So we better have a stop method. Public. It's going to be void for everything, isn't it? It doesn't matter at this stage. Stop. We are going to talk about that next week. So that's refactoring, and I'll take another one of those. Oh gosh, where did that come from? This is a pun, I suppose. Avoid void functions. It's a bit of a joke. Avoid void. Now I've reminded myself of it. I've just run a run void. I'm actually running things that I haven't even written yet. Oh, this is great. So let's stop this. So if M is running, equals false, because I don't put not. I don't like the pling at all. You can use it yourself if you wish to. Not stopping you from doing that. That's a bad idea. A void function calling another function. I'm going to leave it in. It's gone red. Hope it stays red. Okay. See, this is very, very simple programming up to a point. And then something's going to happen. And here we go. We've got main, test, and log to console. So here we go. It's void runtime. So if we start, it'll run. Public void run. Okay. Let's set up the variables for our run thing. I'm going to call it a thing because as I go through it, you'll going, what on earth are you typing, Blades? And this is a real program. This is not made up. This is an actual program that exists. In reality, I'm not going to give you homework that's not real. This is an actual real world program. And I didn't write it, so you can have it. And I think you're probably going to shove it somewhere. We're going to call it frame time. Remember I was talking about time and frames with engines and how you should split off your FPS from the speed of the game? Well, we're going to do that, and we're going to introduce something called time. So let's introduce time before I carry on. Not game. Done that. New Java class. We'll call it time. There we go, making classes left, right and centre today. Lots of code. And for time, it's, just going to be a small, little holding thingy. Public, static, final. We'll want to know what a second equals. So we'll have a long second. Now, how many zeros can I get in a long? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now pull it all back together. That's how many zeros I want. And it's a long, so put an L at the end. Be very a good boy, Blades. Be a good boy, Blades. Don't say it. Private. Static, double. Actually, this part of it isn't too bad. This is me. That's probably why I'm. You can always tell it's me when you see delta time. That's me. I use delta time. You'll find out why. Public, static, long, isn't it? Long is get time. Let's get this done. Return. And that's just going to be system. And we are going for nano time. Thank you. We'll have you. Java has nano time, so that's what we're going to use. Very nice. Not milliseconds. We're going to go for nanoseconds. Public static doubles. Public static double. To get delta time. So again, naming conventions, it should mean what it says. Delta time, by the way, delta means change, or change in, or change of state, or whatever however you want to think of it. It's a change in time. Its mathematical symbol is a triangle, if I remember rightly. Might not remember that, but I think it is in physics anyway. I'll do physics, which is probably why I became a programmer. Return M delta time, yeah. Return M delta time. I'll do that one next. Anything else? Yeah, we'll have a public. Are these static again? Yes, they are. Yeah, why not? Just chuck a static void in there. Nobody will notice. And that's set delta time. And that is, well, we'll have to give it something, won't we? And we're using doubles, are we? Yeah, we are. Double floats. Double means double floats, by the way. Double precision, we should say. Time, yep, okay, that's you done there. That's M delta. I'm just throwing this on. Equals delta. Time. See how putting that M in it Makes it easy, you Java programmers out there. Just adding that little M just makes it handy. If you don't add the M, by the way, what you end up with is this. And that was a joke. You'd have to write that type of thing without spacing. Or is it just a dot? I don't know. I've never done it, so I don't know. Right, there you go. Yeah, I don't even know how to do it. I just couldn't do it if I wanted to. Because I don't program that way. I like separating my variables off by name, not by this keyword. That's your time. There you go, the time class. How was that? Done in record time. Get time, get delta time, and set delta time. Right, back to our main program. Right, final double. I forgot what I was doing now. Oh dear, come on. Come on, blades. I was doing frame time, wasn't I? Yeah, okay. Shouldn't stop in the middle of a variable. Oh dear. That's going to equal 1.0. No F. Don't put an F on it. It's a double. Divided by frame cap. Yeah, we have one of them. Good. We'll have a long, which is a double, isn't it? I think it is. It's a long number. Yeah. There you go. Start time. Time, get time. There we go. That's nice. We'll keep these long. So we've got precision in our time. We are using nano time after all. If you're going to get that kind of precision, use it, man, use it. I think we missed something there, like an equal sign. Delta time equals start time minus last time. Alrighty. That's wrong. That bit's right, but I've done it wrong. Split that off. Don't want that bit yet. Yeah. So I've done my frame time, haven't I? And that completely thrown me by doing the time business. So we'll need a long last time equals time dot get time. Alrighty. Double unprocessed time we'll have. Double. Let's make it a different size. Why not? Double. This is actually real. Processed time. This is for real. Equals 0.0. Yeah, unprocessed time. There isn't any. We're not having any of that. We'll measure the frames. Why not? With an int, the number of frames that go past, so we can do an FPS. And we'll have a long. We'll have long, why not? and we'll have a frame counter so we can do our FPS. Yeah, that'll do. Equals 0 for a long. Oh. Okay. Sorry, hesitating. Interesting. That's just told me something. Yes. Before I forget, what we'll do is we'll make is running equal to true. We better do that, otherwise it's not going to run. I'm looking at things here that I really don't believe it's true. Alright, this is a sanitized version of it, isn't it? Okay. Fine. While m underscore is running and window is open, we can do the following. Okay. Better give ourselves some space here. Let's have a look. So we start time equals get the time. That's the start of each frame. Delta time equals the start time minus the last time. We've created an initial last time so that we can do this properly. Okay, so we've initialized that properly. Right, we don't want to render every frame. We only want to render on the frames that we specify. Can we move that damn thing? I hate it when it's like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a boolean render, and we're going to say it's false. We're not going to render unless we're ready to render. Okay. Window program. Shutdown, update. We better update, haven't we? Yeah. But we can't update yet. Okay. So what we can do now then is we can probably work out our FPS using all of this. So let's see what kind of FPS equation we can use. Well, what we could say is last time equals start time Are you with me so far? Or have I lost you all at this point? Are you completely befuddled? Because what's coming up now is amazing. It's an amazing piece of programming. Unprocessed time plus equals delta time divided cast to, we have to cast it into a double because it's in a different thingy. The time dot seconds. Oh no, it's just time, isn't it? Yeah, time dot second There it is. That big long number is a long. So we change it into a double. So it can go into unprocessed time there as a double. Okay. There we go. Interesting. Now we can move our frame counter to a plus equals delta time. And I've done it wrong again. Okay. Everybody with me so far with this now? Because now what we're going to do is while. You're going to love this one. Unprocessed time is greater than frame time. Oops. Mistimed my button there. Let's go into a while loop, everybody. Render equals true. No joke on this. Unprocessed time minus equals frame time unbelievable. And oh, I've got two minus signs in there, have I? Sorry. Can't you just take them out for me? I should actually think a little bit and do it itself. Time dot set delta time. Yeah, we haven't done that yet, so frame time will do. I don't know. Why not? And it's added brackets when I didn't realise it would. I'm still getting used to sorry, I'm getting used to this editor. And as you can see, I'm just throwing this at the screen. I'm not going to try and explain it. So, finally, try that again. Window dot update. We finally get to update our window. At this point, we can probably, I don't know at this point really whether this is right or not, but game dot input, and we can also do a game dot update. Can't see why not. Now we get to my stuff. So I can cut you from here. You're no longer required. You're no longer required. Oops. Yep, you're no longer required. You're not, absolutely nothing here is required, is it? That's right. Get rid of the lot. All I want to do is create a window. Okay. For now. We'll come back to that. Pop you in. I can. Better get my own stuff in before I cry. Yeah, that's okay. Now where are we up to? Okay. I'm going to leave this as they wrote it. Okay, so if frame counter is greater than or equal to time dot second. What have I done now? ER. La la la. Frame counter. What are you up to? System. I'm going to put it in. I'm not going to use my stuff. System out. Oh, it might not survive any of this code, so LN. And it was just frames. Frames equals 0. That's your FPS, folks. And frame counter. And this is do my heading now. Can we come to the end, please? Okay, this is what he put after. And I know it's a he. Don't worry, I checked. No, not personally, I didn't. But, you know, I could tell it was male. Because, well, I didn't actually check to find out who did it. This is interesting. The guy went on to do this. And I found this very interesting. Until I found out it's automatic. Yeah. We haven't talked about try-catch yet. What does it do? Is that it? Interrupted exception. We'll call it E. That's right. And then it's E dot print. Stack trace will do. Doesn't really matter. Print stream, print writer S. Throwable exception. You don't have a choice in Java. It's not up to us whether it's likely to throw an exception or not. Try typing it in any Java and it'll ask for a try-catch. Standard practice. I'll show you. Just watch me do it. Thread dot sleep, and we'll do 2. Okay. What have I done wrong? I've just made sure that's closed. Oh. Unhandled exception, Java language interrupted exception. Add expression to method signature or more actions. You can't do it. You can't thread sleep. It's not allowed. You have to do a try-catch, and that's the only decent bit of programming that I've done in this whole line of stuff. Now we're going to close out, are we? That's right, we're going to close out. Let's see how we can close out, because I've got to now measure these and find out where I'm supposed to put my blooming shutdown. It's there, isn't it? So, shutdown. Oh, multiple choice. Okay, I'll give you my multiple choice. I'll write it. What? Is that because we're all public static void? I bet it is, isn't it? That's public void. Okay. Oh. Here we go. Nearly finished. This has been a marathon of typing. Not one that I want to be doing for this teaching thing. I want to do more teaching, less typing, but this is a good tutorial for next week. Such a good tutorial that I could not bring myself. No, I'm going to do it as the original. This is actually what was put. Can we click, please? Yeah, it's an interesting question that I don't know why Java does it. This try-catch thingy. Am I outside of the brackets now? I bet I am. Where are my brackets? There. I've got to be inside those brackets. Yeah, we're okay. We're alright. We're surviving. Now what's wrong with private void render? Oh, that's... Right. So, yeah, this is actually what was typed. I've put mgame in. It wasn't, it was just game. So if you take all the m's off the variables, you've nearly got the original. But I just can't do it. I just... the head, did, splatter. And I also want window. This is my line. Render. Because I've got render. I've got a rendering window. And on shutdown, I've got window has a shutdown method. That's important. So I'll pop you in and we will log to console. The Java game. Beautiful program, innit? That's it, the whole program. Game engine has shut down. Have fun. Right, does this run? Oh, God, I hope not. How many red blobs have we got? Oh, tons are down here. Yay. Oh, God for that. Right, that's the main bit of the typing done. I spelt it wrong. I expected that there, so fine. We'll put that there. Very easy to do. Check the next one. Check the next one. Check the next one. Check the next one. Lovely. That's a fantastic input class. Who wrote that? Oh, it must have been me. I'm a genius. Alright, let's just run it. Yeah. Alright, that's good. It did compile then. Finished, yeah, right, okay, because it just went through it. Right, we need a main program now. Let's put the main program in. Where should we have the main program? I have no idea. So what are we going to do for our main program? We're going to say hi. We're going to create a window. We better create a main component, well, main, whatever it is, main program. Better have one of those, so let's have one of those. Main program. We'll have okay. Yes, game equals a new what? Right, okay. I can't even put the semicolon on the right line. I'm laughing too much at what I've just written. And game dot start. Does that actually work? Really? Seriously? Please tell me. No. Yeah, it's worked. There you go. It's perfect. That's the FPS. Now I know it's supposed to say 60. What I want to know, your homework for this week. You got a whole week to think about this. I've already had a week to think about this. I copied that out last Monday I think it was. Still works just as normal. So there you go. But it's just got an FPS counter now. All right. Okay, it's got an FPS counter. The FPS counter is... I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint to what is going on. I'll try. That's your FPS counter there. Now, after what I've just talked about for the whole of this session, I want you to think for next week and think, how could have I done this better? And have a go, play around with it. I just think it's amazing. Because not only did the person type it in to a... and wrote it in Java, and wrote that, and wrote... well, didn't write that. And they didn't write that. So this Windows stuff is mine. They wrote this. Now, there's two things I know about the person that wrote this. One, the male. Two, they're not a bad programmer. They are actually a good programmer. And that might surprise you. Thirdly, I have actually got some respect for this programmer, even though I did find this. And lastly, he does suffer from OCD. Can you tell? Wow. I'm sorry, but that is amazing. When I came across this, I thought somebody was just taking the rip. I thought somebody was having, pulling the middle wicket, as they say in cricket. Yeah. I can't even get it all on one screen, can I? I mean, there's that much of it. I can't even get it on one screen if I take all the spaces out. I might be able to. I'll try. I think it's worth doing. See if I can take the spaces out of it. Oh, that didn't happen. No, it didn't happen, you're right. And then, once you take the spaces out of it, you start realising how it was done and why. That doesn't count. These do down here, by the way. I've modified that one. I've modified that one, so those don't count. That's my stuff. Okay, that's my stuff. Okay, the main program is modified by me, so none of that stuff. Everything up to the try-catch, which is there. That else. We can take off that else. There you go, that's better. That is what I saw. Just trying to get it all on screen. Including the else, by the way. I had the same reaction that Soup World did. Oh my god. That's forced else. I've modified quite a lot of this stuff to simplify it down. Obviously, I've had to cut it out of the... these are the functions that were written, by the way. The titles of the functions, but I've just modified the internals to make sure it ran. Yeah. It works. It works perfectly. If you take off that render, it fits. My god. There you go. That, all of that code there measures the FPS and controls the render output. In other words, it renders at 60 frames per second. And it will not render at, on my machine anyway, at any other frame rate. Which is incorrect, because I tested it. That was the objective, and it failed to do the objective, but it did give us the FPS, so we'll give them that. Right, any questions? Anything you want to chat about yourselves? Anything you want to know about? Are you on any projects? Got any problems? I'm quite happy to help people out with their problems on their own projects. Oh, stretch. Oh, goddamn. Sorry I'm on the Linux side, so I've got no music. I prefer being on the Linux side. Oh, by the way, IntelliJ is on Windows as well. Works just as well. It's really groovy, and it stops you making mistakes. That's why I'm using it for teaching. Because it stops me from making an arse of myself. That's why. Shh, didn't say that. But next week, we are going to be looking at... I've left that on the screen long enough for people to pause, I think. We are going to be looking at to-dos. Refactor input methods from window to input. And code smells, avoid void functions. Two subjects that we really need to look at now. Because I've just been plastering everywhere with void functions on purpose. Right. We need to talk about that, definitely, because there is something... that I might say that might upset people. Well, tough if it does. Especially experienced programmers. Even experienced programmers can learn from this. I prefer this. Actually, this is still bad. But at least I can read it now, and I can correct it all. Oh my god. I can't believe that. That is so funny. But yeah. Next week, refactor and code smells. What's that all about? How do you stop becoming a bad programmer, and how do you start becoming a good programmer? I think that's what that's all about. But in the meantime, you got your homework. And what's that one? Oh yeah, we're on the 3. Yeah, we've done our hour of talky bits as well, so I've given you homework, right. Take care, everybody. Have a good weekend. I'm sailing tomorrow, 2 o'clock. I'm getting my sailboat out and my cannons, and I'm going to go blow some stuff up. Ships, hopefully. In the meantime, have a good evening. Take care, and have fun.